government sensitizes people living in coastal areas on safety measures to adapt in event of flood. Former Chief of Air Staff retired Air Marshal Sika Edwok, back from overseas treatment, condemns rumors of his death. And former President Olusegun Obasanjo emphasizes need for journalists to adhere to ethics of profession. Details of these and of other stories in just a moment. Very good morning to you and thanks for joining us. My name is Augusta Essien. The state government has taken steps to educate citizens on safety measures to be adopted in order to avoid being affected by flood. This is equal to a forecast of impending flood by the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIME. The sensitization was taken to the 15th coastal local government areas of the state. Patience John tells us more.
The sensitization organized by the State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, where the Deputy Governor, Mr. Moses Ekpo, is the chairman, was in conjunction with stakeholders including the Ministry of Niger Delta Affairs, that of Environment and Information, as well as non-governmental organizations. The delegation was led by the Deputy Governor, Mr. Moses Ekpo, represented by the Director of Administration, Office of the Deputy Governor, Mrs. Ekaete Kanum. The 5 local government areas of Oron, Mbo, Udumuko, Refon, Ruko, and Okobo was the first port of call.
We have another prediction from them, saying that there is an increase in the volume of waters and that it is likely to overflow into this nation. They have mentioned many states, and Akwa Ibom is one of the states we have been told that is likely to be affected. All of us are saying there is a need for us to do something so that we are not overtaken by floods.
Any construction company because
the team also spoke with stakeholders in Ibno, Ona, Eket, and Esreket, who converged on Ibno Local Government Council Hall.
That you should not be a victim of such circumstances. If you are a farmer within this period and you know that your crops are mature, immediately you can use this period and harvest them.
At Ikorobasi, Isnobolo, and Marenim, the people were advised to take the message to the people, creating awareness for safety of lives and property. The team also briefed people in Itu, Ibiona, and Uran local government areas with a call on the Transition Committee chairman to liaise with the state government for further directives. Traditional rulers and other opinion leaders in the different local government areas visited, bared their minds on the development.
So let us go home, put our heads together, and begin to build defensive mechanisms.
We bring them on the same thing because the fear deployed is expected at any time. So any lackful that the one the package is what to do. This is what to do to avoid the injustice.
Government is not caused by it's not by companies. Companies are companies of this country. And we are allowed to flow on a bed.
Patience John reporting.
Ministries, departments, and agencies of government yet to appear before the State Budget Committee to defend their 2017 budget proposals have been told to adhere to dates allocated to them. The Budget Committee Chairman, Pastor Nicholas Ekarika, gave the directive at the end of the defense of the second week. Etienne Oibanga tells us more.
For 12 hours, the State Budget Committee on Friday took time to attend to ministries, departments, agencies, and parastatals of government that appear to defend their 2017 budget proposals. They include The Ministry of Works, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Dr. Ifreke Ekpa, Agriculture and Natural Resources, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Elder Wisdom Ekpo, Akwa Ibom State Rural Water Supply and Sanitation Agency, led by the General Manager, Elder Effiong Sien, the Permanent Secretary, Bureau of Political and Legislative Affairs, Mrs. Helen Pabio, the Deputy Rector, Akwa Ibom State Polytechnic, Korosura, Ms. Sine Bongukong, and officials of the Office of the Accountant General also took their time. Other agencies which also appeared for the defense on Friday were Task Force on Counterfeit, Fake Drugs and Unwholesome Processed Food, Ministry of Youth and Sports, led by the Permanent Secretary, Ms. Senseis Edem, Akwa Ibom State University, Department of Establishment, State Library Board, as well as Council for Arts and Culture. In their responses, representatives of the ministries, department and agencies parasites of government applauded Governor Dumi Emmanuel for granting approval for the early preparation of next year's budget. They also lauded the Estimates Committee for doing a thorough job. The committee chairman, Pastor Nicholas Ekarika, spoke on the performance of the MDAs at the defense within the week and urged those here to appear to keep to specific dates.
From all our discussion with MDAs, I think they are very happy. We are sure that everything will go well. Those of them that are unable to meet up their scheduled time, we'll give them up to Monday, and then we'll try and give them time from Monday.
61 MDAs have so far appeared before the budget committee.
The report on defense of 2017 budget proposals by ministries, departments and agencies of government was put together by Tieno Ibala and presented in our studios. As part of efforts to provide adequate and appropriate workplace responses to HIV and AIDS, the Akwa Ibom State Agency for the Control of AIDS has made public the Akwa Ibom State Workplace Policy on HIV and AIDS. Uyoko Swa reports that the policy, which was unveiled by the head of civil service, among other objectives, protects the rights of people living with HIV and AIDS and sensitizes them on options for redress in cases of right violation. His report.
The head of civil service, who was represented by the Permanent Secretary, General Services Office, Dr. Comfort Uchibong, expressed gratitude to the state agency for the control of AIDS for coming up with a policy, stressing that it was a product of persistence and hard work. She discouraged workers in the state from discriminating against their colleagues who were infected with the HIV virus, while encouraging them to not just read the policy, but to imbibe and practice it.
We should not discriminate against people who have any ailment, much more so for people living with HIV AIDS. They are people like us. They are our neighbors. They are members of our churches. They belong to our own organizations. They did not buy it from the market. We are not better than they are. And so we need to cooperate with them, accept them as they are, relate with them, encourage them, support them, show them empathy. And in the workplace, we should also carry them along.
The state chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Comrade Etemokbong, who noted that Labour was proud to be part of the fight against discrimination against workers living with HIV and AIDS, advised government to explore ways of sponsoring the HIV and AIDS project locally rather than continually depending on foreign donors. Comrade Ukbong also appealed to the state government to include only people who are well versed with the activities and objectives of SACA while constituting a board to oversee its activities.
I'm asking myself, even while we were talking, why did it have to take this long? It's not like we do not mention, the issues of HIV and AIDS or the issue of stigmatization where we are speaking generally on matters that affect humanity, this part of the world. But I thought something was missing. I just want to say I'm very happy that he took that step.
While giving an overview of the epidemic in the state, the Community Mobilization Officer of SACA, Mr. Nse Basi, said the effort of the group was paying off as there was a steady decline in new incidences. He attributed the success to several strategies, which included the prevention of mother-to-child transmission, involving more educational institutions in the dissemination of the message, effective collaboration with traditional birth attendants, as well as identifying and developing specific interventions for most at-risk population. Mr. Nsebasi, however, emphasized strict adherence to doctors' prescriptions on antiretroviral therapy for infected persons. In an overview of the workplace policy document, the state's project manager, Dr. Nkeruwem Etuk, enumerated several aspects covered by the policy to include general rights and responsibilities, roles and responsibilities of employers, as well as privacy and confidentiality. He emphasized that the only medical criterion for entry to employment is fitness to work, noting that HIV infection does not in itself constitute a lack of fitness. According to him, nothing in a pre-employment examination should compel a candidate to declare his HIV status.
Provide guidelines and strategies for technical support for HIV and AIDS intervention in the workplace. It will also guide in improving the knowledge of workers on HIV and AIDS and other related diseases and protect the rights of those infected with or affected by HIV/AIDS.
The high point of the event was the unveiling of the policy by the head of civil service. The Akwa Ibom State Workplace Policy on HIV and AIDS aims at providing guidelines for government, employers, employees and other stakeholders to provide appropriate and adequate workplace responses to HIV and AIDS. Uyoko Uswa reporting.
A former chief of air staff, retired Air Marshal Zikaido, has charged the people of the state to imbibe the Akada philosophy of Governor Udom Emmanuel's administration, both in actions and utterances. This, he said, would help the people of the states to move forward spiritually and economically. The story is here presented.
Air Marshal Edward stated this at the Bum International Airport on arrival from overseas treatment. Air Marshal Edward, who is the chairman board of trustees of United Evangelical Church and grand patron of Mbom Parawe Bibio, regretted that people take delight in spreading false rumors on issue of life and death instead of having faith in God. According to him, such attitude was against the message behind the Dakota philosophy and attributed its safe return to the collective prayers of United Evangelical Church and Mbom Parawe Bibio. He appreciated Mbom Parawe Bibio, the church and the people of the state for their prayers, dispelled the rumor making round of his death, noting that he received strength from God that saw him through the trying period.
Amen. Amen.
The international president of Mbom Parawe Bibio, Akparawa Monday Tokpan, who mobilized his members to receive their grand patron, thank God for bringing Air Marshal Edward back in good health. Akparawa Tokpan called for continuous unity and love among the people of the state, noting that turbulence in one's life was not a time to speculate, but a time to stand together in love and prayers. The national chairman of the United Evangelical Church, the Reverend Chimobi, flanked by the state chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Reverend Dwese Kwere, was full of gratitude to God for the life of their BOT chairman, Air Marshal Nsika Edward.
We are glad to receive him back as the chairman of the board of trustees of the church, by the grace of God, and the chairman of CAN. I am of his own church. We are together in the same church.
The first place because I know the God in heaven is still alive. And I'm definitely praying for him. So I believe that God is a prayer answering God. So there was no shaking at all.
You're watching AKBC 45 News this Sunday morning. We said earlier, for the benefit of those just joining us, that the state government has taken steps to educate citizens on safety measures to be adopted in order to avoid being affected by flood. The sensitization was taken to the 15 coastal local government areas of the state. We also told you that as part of efforts to provide adequate and appropriate workplace responses to HIV and AIDS, the Akwa Ibom State Agency for the Control of AIDS has made public to the Akwa Ibom State Workplace Policy on HIV and AIDS. We'll take a break. We have more news for you after this time out. Just tell me this. Thanks for your time this morning. A book titled The Nigerian Child and Youth Development has been presented to the public. The public presentation of the book, with contributions from 21 scholars and edited by Professor Etemudo, is part of activities marking this year's World Youth Day celebration. Anietia Paitam has the details.
Nigerian youth, which make up about 55% of the nation's population, grow up within the most rapidly changing socio-cultural setting, and in most cases, there are no comprehensive record of them. One generation's experience has been seen to differ remarkably from the last, provoking remarks like, "Oh, it was not so in our time." This 26-chapter and 456-page book considered various aspects of the Nigerian child and youth development, ranging from moral, religious, and political socialization. The book reviewer, Professor Effiong Johnson, a former Dean of Student Affairs, University of Uyo, noted that each chapter of it has a major role to play in the lives of youth. Professor Johnson explained that the book has carefully pointed out the nature of the child and youth, his place in the national schemes of things, his expectations from the society, and recommended it for youth and adults.
It captures the nuances of child development from cradle up to every concern of the youth, politically, socially, religiously, morally, and otherwise. The chapters are clearly spelled, and there is nobody, I emphasize nobody. As the review of the book, I've read the book, and there is nobody that will read this book that will not have tremendous things to gain from.
The chairman on the occasion, Sir Valentine Atta, who is the chairman, University of Abuja Teaching Hospital Management Board, said the book has provided a platform for youth and a roadmap for Vision 2030.
Celebrated at the global level on the 12th, and this month dedicated to the youth, because the youths are the leaders of tomorrow. And you see the relationship between the child, the Nigerian child, the youth development, and finally adulthood. As your contribution to this day, to remind those in governance who are the youths of their role for tomorrow.
The guest speaker and Deputy Vice Chancellor, Niger Delta University, Yenegua, Bayelsa State, Professor Tuemi Asuka, who was represented by Dr. Poli Godgift, said energies of youth must be channeled positively for the development of the society, stressing that the problems facing Nigerian youth is lack of understanding of the problems of the nation. The editor of the book, Professor Etemudo, said his dream of contributing to the development of the Nigerian youth has been realized.
What is the role of children and young people in Nigerian politics? To what extent are the leaders bringing up these children and the young people to be what they ought to be in Nigeria?
Some of those who were at the event described the book as one Nigerian have been waiting for.
Trying to pass a message to the Nigerian youth on how we should live our lives.
It's a child and development.
Anietie Akpaitam reporting.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has emphasized need for journalists to uphold the country's integrity, peace and unity through strict adherence to the ethics of the profession. Chief Obasanjo stated this in a keynote address he sent to the opening of the Nigeria Union of Journalists National Media Summit, which took place at Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Uruai Kong, who also attended the summit, has the details.
Addressing the summit attended by journalists led by chairmen of state councils of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo urged members of the press to serve as an objective and fair wedge that will regulate and reconcile differences. Represented by Professor Peter Okebukola, the former president advised journalists to avoid bias and sectionalism as they daily strive to preach the gospel of unity in diversity.
The media, despite the ownership, are generally expected to display a real sense of objectivity. They must ensure balance and fairness in their reports. This implies that their reports must be free from bias. Stories must never be one-sided.
The governor of Ogun State, Senator Ibikunle Amosun, urged delegates to the conference to explore avenues of utilizing the social media as a platform for mass development rather than mass destruction.
It has even become more important that the profession divests itself of partisanship, ensure objectivity in its reportage, and inculcate investigative journalism if it desires to continue to remain relevant. One major avenue of achieving this is for the NUJ itself to ensure unity among its folk.
On his part, the NUJ National President Abdul Wahid Odusile said the media summit was convened by the NUJ to brainstorm on various problems facing the media so that solutions could be sought. Citing hostile operating environment and non-payment of salaries, which leaves journalists vulnerable to corruption as some of the challenges and constraints faced by the media industry, the NUJ president said the government's policy on advertising needs to be reviewed. The Akwa Ibom delegation to the summit with the theme, The Media and National Unity, was led by the state chairman, Patrick Albert. Udwakekon reporting.
As Nigeria's oil and gas sector awaits the passage of the Petroleum Industry Bill, the federal government says it is set to unveil 4 new policies for the sector. The Information Office of the United States Embassy has released a statement indicating that Nigeria should expect an August visitor. For details of these and other stories, stay with Mercy Akere in our national and foreign news segments.
The federal government has said it will soon unveil 4 new policies on oil and gas that will remedy the merits of problems in the sector. The federal government's plan was made known by the Minister of State for Petroleum, Dr. Ibe Kachiku, who said that apart from the challenge of drop in oil prices, which is global, Nigeria is faced with other pressing problems in the oil and gas sector, including attacks on oil facilities by militants, hence the need for new policies. The minister identified the 4 policies to include national oil policy, national gas policy, downstream policy, and fiscal reform policy. He noted that the country's oil and gas industry requires policies that will overcome the challenges facing the sector. United States Secretary of State John Kerry is expected to visit Nigeria on Tuesday, August 23. This was disclosed by the Information Office of the U.S. Embassy. Mr. Kerry is expected to meet with President Muhammadu Buhari to discuss counter-terrorism efforts, the Nigerian economy, the fight against corruption, and human rights issues. The U.S. Secretary of State is also expected to visit some states in the Northeast, where he will speak on the importance of resilient communities and religious tolerance in countering violent extremism. He will also meet with northern governors and religious leaders. Mr. Kerry's expected August visit to Nigeria will follow his visit to Kenya on Monday, August 22. In a bid to facilitate growth and entrepreneurial development at grassroots level, the federal government has announced the rollout of 1.6 billion naira special intervention fund for Nigerian women. According to the Minister for Women Affairs and Social Development, Senator Aisha Alassan, the fund, tagged National Women Empowerment Fund, NAWIF, will provide microcredit financing and will be disbursed as a loan from 20,000 naira to 50,000 naira with a 5% admin fee payable within 6 months. Senator Alassan said the pilot phase of NAWIF will cut across 8 states, including Akwa Ibom, and 10,000 women are expected to be registered in each of the 8 states. The governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, has been elected as the president of the Association of African Central Banks, AACB. Mr. Emefiele, who was elected at the 39th ordinary meeting of the Assembly of Governors of the AACB, will be president of the association for the year 2016 to 2017. He succeeds Mr. Lucas Nchama, governor of the Banque de l'Afrique Centrale. To work with Mr. Emefiele, the governor of the Central Bank of Ghana as chairman of West African Sub-Region, governor of the Central Bank of Mauritania, chairman of the North African Sub-Region, and governor of the Central Bank of Central African States, chairman of Central African Sub-Region. On the foreign scene, a federal judge in the United States has ruled that Democratic presidential candidate Mrs. Hillary Clinton must give written testimony in response to the lawsuit over her use of a private email server while she was Secretary of State. Judge Emmett Sullivan declined to order Mrs. Clinton to testify in person and asked that she should respond to questions of the Judicial Watch in 30 days. In early July, U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch had said no charges would be brought against Clinton for using the private email server. The FBI has said there were no clear evidence that Mrs. Clinton and her aides intended to violate secrecy laws. Mrs. Clinton has apologized for exclusively using her private email account and her own server during her time as Secretary of State from 2009 to 2013.
Our national and foreign news segment was anchored by Mercy Akere, and with that we come to the end of this morning's news presentation, but yet with the recap. The state government has embarked on sensitization of people living in coastal areas and safety measures to take during flood disasters. The sensitization took the government team to 15 coastal local government areas of the state. Al Sel, former Chief of Air Staff, retired Air Marshal Sikaido, has condemned peddling of rumors of his death. That's a package. Do remember that you can watch AKBC TV News online by logging on to akbconline.org or follow us on Twitter at AKBC45VU or on Facebook at AKBC Channel 45. Do remember to join us tonight at 8 for yet another package. On behalf of the production team, have a wonderful Sunday ahead.